While the state is touting its lowest unemployment numbers in decades, there's another side of the story that isn't often talked about. New Mexico has one of the highest percentages of people who either can't or won't work, almost half of the so-called labor force. News 13's Ariana Kraft is live at Workforce Solutions Department near Broadway and Marquette with the story.
Right now, the state's unemployment rate is historically low, but that doesn't count for the hundreds of thousands of working age people who, for whatever reason, don't have a job. New Mexico's unemployment rate soared during the COVID-19 pandemic.
At the height of the pandemic, it got all the way up to 9.3% in May 2020. So we've seen just amazing improvement since then.
Now the state's unemployment rate is at just 3.5%, but the state still has the third lowest labor force participation rate in the country, following West Virginia and Mississippi.
Basically, how many people I like to think are sort of in the game, right? Those are the folks who are either working or looking for work, as opposed to on the bench. Those are the folks who are doing neither of those.
Riley White is an associate professor of finance at UNM. He explains why New Mexico's labor participation rate of 56% is 7 points lower than the national average.
When there are fewer opportunities for development, fewer people work, and people are forced to make a choice. If you're a working parent and you have a choice of finding difficulty for childcare or going back to work following another child being born, it becomes a very difficult situation for a lot of New Mexicans.
That only tells part of the story. New Mexico has higher disability rates than other states, with the number of people applying for disability benefits doubling over the past 20 years.
Some of that is due to the health availability of certain healthcare opportunities in the state. It is due to certain economic characteristics of our state as well, looking at where the availability of jobs are, where the availabilities of opportunities are.
And in a recent Workforce Solutions report on the issue, the state acknowledges a correlation between low labor force participation in states with high poverty rates, low education levels, and lower waged jobs. But there are still New Mexicans that businesses are hoping will join the workforce.
We have fewer people still employed in leisure and hospitality. Those are restaurants, those are hotels, those are all of those service sector work that we're finding companies struggling to find workers in those categories.
The labor force is considered anyone 16 and up. New Mexico does have a slightly higher percentage of elderly people than most other states, so that does account for some of the state's low ranking. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Ariana. The labor force does not include inmates or residents of nursing homes.